got the juice, I play for hours. Coldest thing running, unlimited power. Doing my thing, shooting and gunning. My planet, my home, the world of Juice Bunyan.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome in. This is the Sports World of Juice, the NBA Draft edition. I'm going to be looking at guys that appeal to me, not necessarily, oh, this guy's going to be better than this guy, or this guy's going to go higher than this guy, because that's not what this is. I'm not doing a mock draft. This is just me talking about the guys that I like, because I've had those guys in the past. Last year was Alperen Sengun. The years before, it was like guys like LaMelo and Tyler Hero, who I kind of watched coming up through high school. Same thing with Mac McClung, who I'm still keeping an eye on. But with this, I wanted to do some extra research and look at a couple of mock drafts and some of the people that have like sparked my interest over the NCAA tournament when I was watching that, and kind of go back and look at these guys and see which guys I'm going to be keeping an eye on throughout the season and obviously throughout their careers, and maybe this will be a every year type thing. So without further ado, let's get into my top 10, Juice's top 10. The first one's going to be what I've been seeing a lot of people say is Baby Chuck, Baby Charles Barkley. Kenny Lofton Jr., not related to Kenny Lofton, the baseball player. He plays like a less athletic Charles Barkley in the fact that he's like always going for those rebounds. He's a real big body, and he's not afraid to use it, and he knows how to use it. The detractions from him is going to be his weight, but I mean, he dropped for the showcase for the G League Elite, and then he got invited to some scrimmages for the NBA Draft Combine as well, and he looked really well there. He stood out. I think he made him some money on that. He could be a second-round guy, which, again, I'm not worried about. I loved him since I've seen him. I don't remember if it was the under-19. I think it would have been before that. I saw a video of him somewhere. Somebody posted a video, and I was like, oh, man, I like this kid. And part of it's probably because I'm stuck in the 90s/early thousands where, post Reign Supreme and stuff like that, even though he's undersized. So he kind of still fits this kind of game, today's game, in the fact that, the bigs are smaller and the more skilled people are bigger. He's about 19, so he's young. He's got time to grow. I see him as like a go-between power forward and center. He can hit the three, but that's not his strong suit. He's actually a deceptive, decent passer, so he can move the ball. He can command the double team depending on how I guess we should wait to see how he does in the summer league. What stood out to me as far as his statistics is his almost a steal and a block for his career, and he's only played 2 seasons, but that says a lot for me coming from a big, which means that he has active hands both in the post and on facing up, 1v1, and I've seen that in his tape as well. He pops it loose very often, and I like that about him. He has very active hands for a big. The next one we're going to be looking at, or I'm going to be taking a look at going forward, is going to be Andrew Nembhard. Hopefully I'm saying that right. This is Chris Paul all the way. Like, watching his tape, I was just like, huh? Is this like old tape of CP3? Like, clearly Chris Paul was like way better. The guy's going to be a Hall of Famer, but like Andrew just has shades. I hate to do comps, but that's the most comfortable thing for me. A poor man's Chris Paul is a good comp. He runs the pick and roll really well. He knows how to manipulate it. He does well in the pick and roll. He can find his open teammates. He has the ability to pass like Chris Paul and the ability to score with some ease. His defense it's not like record breaking or anything, but he's going to be able to stay out of trouble, but that's going to need some work. He's a little bit older at 22, but he's got good size for a point guard at 6'4". He shot 38%, almost 40% in his senior season, so that was just going up. So he's got a good shot. He's a good scorer, and I would just look out for him to be sort of usually I can tell when players have the it factor, and he doesn't seem to have the it factor. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong because that'll help me going forward, but it doesn't seem like he seems like the backup type or a starter eventually, but not right off the bat. But I would like to see him lean more on aggressiveness, scoring, and being crafty. And speaking of crafty, we'll move on to Scottie Pippen Jr. He's a little younger, coming in at 21, but he's small. He's 6'1", 180, but he doesn't play like he is, and that's why I wanted to lead off with that. He plays through contact really well for being a 6'1" guy. more of a Chris Paul build, actually. I wouldn't expect anything less, being Scottie Pippen's kid. His defense is okay, but the IQ is definitely there, and you can absolutely see it. You can see it in his offensive IQ as well. But he definitely has a tough style of play. Super, super physical, and he's crafty, and he can get his teammates involved. I really, really like what I see. He has a good assist to turnover ratio, and he's got, like I said, he's got a good nose for the ball. His defense could get him in trouble, maybe. So we'll see. He's aggressive on the ball, and you like to see that. You don't want to see somebody being lazy when they're going for those 1v1 matchups against high-profile point guards, because, I mean, you make one mistake, you're going to get blown by, you're going to get dunked on. My next one is going to be short and sweet. It's Christian Braun. He's reminds me of a really good 3-and-D guy. I just like his game for some reason. He has super, super confidence. He almost reminds me of Mario Hezonja that the Magic picked up a long time ago. I don't remember if he's even in the league anymore. But he has that confidence, that high flyer, rim runner, good, easy stroke of a shot, and efficient. Like this kid out of Kansas shot. He was almost a 50-40 guy. He had a steal per game too, so he's active with his hands. He just, like a lot of these guys, need to raise their free throw percentage, and I've noticed a lot of them, I think actually all of them, none of them shot over 80% from the free throw line, so we don't have any free throw shooters here. So they all are going to need to work on that, but I really like his game. I can't wait to see where he goes. But Jabari Smith is probably the highest rated person that I have on this list, and it's not me trying to buck trends or avoid talking about a top 5 or anything like that, but Jabari Smith is a shot maker all around. You've heard everything you're going to hear about him. He's a high pick. You're not going to find anything here that you haven't heard before. He has a good all-around game, and I really like what he brings to the table. He reminds me of, I don't even know if I'm remembering it right, Anthony Randolph, where he just kind of come in, and maybe that kid was a little before his time, and maybe that's why he didn't have success. But he just, because I wouldn't say Kevin Durant per se. He gets his shot off pretty good, but not like a Kevin Durant. He could, and he should. He should work on his shot, and he will get better. I think he has lots of potential, and he's going to make some team happy as long as he doesn't get stuck on a team with a logjam of bigs, sort of like the Magic, which is what I've been seeing some people mock him to, which I don't like. So we'll see how he ends up going forward. Tajay Moore out of Houston was obviously somebody I have close-up experience with, being a Arizona fan. They're the ones that knocked us out of the tournament. He has super high energy and a high motor, or I guess that would be similar. And he really popped during the tournament. That's when I saw him, because I had no choice but to. But I mean, Houston was making noise before that. He has great defense, and the more I watch him, the more he reminds me, like he's the size, closer to the size of a Marcus Smart, and his statistics sort of mirror Marcus's a little bit. Marcus obviously was a way better defender and scorer in college at OK State. But he also reminds me of Jimmy Butler as well. They're just tough dudes who get it done, but he's more athletic than both of them, and it's crazy. He has extreme hops. He won the college dunk contest too, if I'm not mistaken. He attacks the basket similar to D Wade. I saw that in a comment, and I was just like, what are you talking about? And I kept watching. I was just like, oh yeah, like early Dwayne Wade before, he stopped being sort of how they used to call like Gerald Wallace and stuff, that crash, that kind of attacking that's going to get you hurt a lot. He kind of does, but he does it with an effectiveness. And I'm not calling for him to be some high scorer, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did, just because I think he has the energy and the tools to do it, to be a highly high athletic combo guard, because he does have court vision. He did have a 2-to-1 turnover ratio in college. Again, another guy who at least averaged a steal. He shot pretty decent. I mean, as long as he's not, a lot of these guys are not shooting super, super low. It's a low 34% from 3, but I mean, at least he's still hitting them. 46% field goal, but again, he wasn't called to be the best guy. There's still a guy on their team, Edwards, who's supposed to be that guy coming out of the draft. So I'm interested. He may not be drafted. I haven't heard anything about him. I know there's a few guys that like him and like his game, but I don't know if NBA teams like his game per se. He's older. He's 23. He'll be 24 by the time the season starts. So we'll see how that goes. Nikola Jovic. He's a lottery pick. So another one of the lottery picks I have on this list, who reminds me of a Jabari Smith the more I think about it. So if he doesn't go higher than where he's been speculated to go at, which would be in the bottom of the lottery, I wouldn't be surprised if he went higher, depending on who wants. Like if somebody's like, oh, I wanted a shot at him. I wanted a shot at Jabari Smith, or they're trying to trade up, and no dice. I think Nikola Jovic could offer you some of the same stuff. He actually looks a lot quicker with his shot, a lot quicker with the ball in the short range. Sort of below the 3-point line in, but also he can look pretty quick from 3/4 of the court as well. I don't know if you necessarily want him to always be bringing up the ball, but he can if he needs to. He's more of I would say instead of a guard-forward hybrid, he's more of a forward-guard hybrid because he's big. So I guess he could be your Ben Simmons. In today's NBA, he could be a guard-forward. But he would have to learn how to guard those quicker guys. And he would have to learn how to body up those bigger guys. So that's why he's kind of a hybrid. He's in between. So he's going to need to figure out a strength or something, because that's not going to work for him going forward, or in the long term, I should say. But he's got a really, really, really good shot. If you have time, go watch him. He would need to play spot minutes against bigs just because of how small he is. Again, it's the Chet Holmgren type deal, where everybody's like, oh, he needs to eat a sandwich. But this kid doesn't show as much prowess on the defensive end as Chet did or does. So, again, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. He's about 6'10", 210. So, we're going to need him to at least put on 25 more pounds over the course of his first couple of years. I know that's a lot to put on immediately. Then we get to my Arizona guys, Dalen Terry and Benny Mathurin. Dalen Terry's been sort of shooting up draft boards recently, and I haven't heard a whole lot of people talking about him until now. Obviously, being an Arizona fan, I understand clearly what he brings. But him and Benny sort of are very similar. They're similar heights at 6'6", 6'7". Benny is a little heavier at 205, or over that 200 range, whereas Dalen's right there at the edge in the 190s. They're both sophomores. They both aid a lot from three. They're both above 35% from three for their careers. Both above that 45% from field goal percentage, but Benny's the better free throw shooter. I think Dalen would be the better pick to be a facilitator more so than a scorer, whereas Benny's the scorer. I think he's going to just be a scorer. He can be a passer, and that could be a backup ability of his. But I think Benny is going to be your Nick Young type. Not necessarily saying having a career of Nick Young, but I'm going to go get these buckets. I'm going to give it all to you, and you're going to take it type deal. Whereas Terry's going to be your do a lot more. I think he's a little bit more versatile. He's only a year younger at 19, whereas Benny's 20. They're both young, but they're both uber athletic. They could both jump over you if they need to. But Dalen Terry he has one of the better assist to turnover ratios that I've seen on this list so far, or actually on this list period. And there's only one other guy I've been looking at that blows me away with how he finds his teammates on this list, actually. But Dalen Terry, he's great defensively. He has big time potential, and I think that's going to be a big calling card for him, is his where he can go potentially. I know that's how it is with the draft and the young kids and everything, but this kid, out of all the people that I've personally looked at, not necessarily the 1 through 60 or whatever, but just like these guys, he's got the better potential out of all of them I've seen, or at least from what I want to see. Big interest on where he goes, as well as Benny. But he looks like he's going to be going somewhere in the back end to mid of the lottery, whereas we don't know where Dalen's going to go at this point. But Jordan Hall is the one that the best playmaker I've watched this year. I see a lot of people spread around the ball, but this kid, if you want to talk about Nikola bringing up the ball and stuff like this, Jordan Hall is that sort of big Ben Simmons-esque type point forward. Even though he's listed at about 6'7", he seems like he plays much bigger at 20 years old. From St. Joseph, he averaged about 6 assists, and I'm sure he could do a lot more damage in the NBA with a lot more pro talent. He's also effective on defense, but he's going to need to develop that, as with a lot of these guys, and none of them are really excellent defenders besides maybe Dalen right off the bat. But Jordan Hall is definitely one of the best playmakers, and he's got great size so he can see over the defenses. And you have to respect his shot. And because of his shot, he opens up lanes to be able to pass to just about anybody he wants to. And it seems like a cheap comp, but he reminds me a lot of Slow-Mo, Kyle Anderson on the Grizzlies. And any team should be excited to get this kid, no matter where he goes. But other than that, that's all I have on this list. I have a few guys that went back to college that I was looking at that I wanted to have on my juice list of NBA, draft hopefuls. But these guys are going to be going back, so they were honorable mentions, but we'll be keeping them on. They'll be on this list next year because I'm absolutely sure that these guys will be coming back or coming out next year. And those three guys are Drew Timme, Tyler Burton, and Adam Miller. I really wanted to get more into them, but I'll let this next year sort of do that for me, and I'll pay extra close attention to them going forward. But I hope you like this video. Be sure to subscribe and let me know some other stuff you like to see. As I said, once the draft is over, we'll come back and look at their landing spots, come back and see sort of what the fit is with the people there, and then I think the next phase would be coming back after the Summer League, and sort of commenting on how they did and sort of watching some of their games to see how they fared, and then preseason. And then we'll probably try to pump out some more NBA, just overall content from that going forward, as well as what the Suns do, because obviously I'm a Suns fan through and through. We're still struggling, but we're still surviving. We're coming back from a bad loss, as everybody knows, but we'll be back. Don't worry about it. Bye.
Point forward.